The UK's 47 wildlife trusts share a vision of an environment rich in wildlife for everyone to enjoy. Their mission is to rebuild biodiversity by bringing local people and local environments together. The Wildplaces project was launched in 2009 and lasted for 2 years. Durham, Northumberland and Tees Valley Wildlife Trusts worked in partnership and were supported by the Heritage Lottery Fund. The first core aim of the project was to engage local people living in urban centres of the North East. This was achieved by lending them motion-activated cameras to record the wildlife in their environment. The second aim was to create opportunities for local volunteers to improve the habitat in their urban areas. And providing educational opportunities for school children was the third aim of the project.
Hello everyone, welcome to Wildplaces TV from our studio here at Redby Primary School.
At Quorum Business Park in Newcastle, volunteers have helped to change a former building site into a conservation area, providing a promising future for wildlife right in the heart of the business park. So Julie, how did you first find out about the Wildplaces project?
Well, I was contacted by Northumberland Wildlife Trust to carry out some wildlife work across the park, and it sounded really interesting.
And what aspect of it really excited you the most?
Well, the first phase was to improve the habitat for the water voles on the park, so we wanted to reintroduce them to the site because unfortunately they had sort of died out in recent years, so we wanted to encourage them back to the park.
Oh, that's amazing. What did you actually have to do to get them back?
Well, first of all, we did a clean-up of the lech which runs behind some of the buildings on the park, and we did a litter pick in the area, cleared out all the rubbish and rubble, and also cleared out the reeds which were clogging up the water and stopping it from flowing through. So we got that moving again in the hope to entice the water voles back.
And how satisfying an experience has it been for you?
The project's been fantastic. I mean, before we started the project, none of the volunteers really knew a great deal about sort of the environment and conservation, but this has been a great way for people to learn.
Brilliant. And are you going to keep it going?
Definitely. We've got quite a lot of activity planned for the spring and for the summer. We're going to be making and siting some bird feeders and bird boxes around the park, and also planting a nectar bed to encourage bees to come to Quorum and work and things.
Brilliant. So you're going to end up with a nice little nature reserve?
Yeah, we'd like to eventually, yes.
Meanwhile, at Red House Primary School in Sunderland, the Durham Wildlife Trust have created a wildlife garden for the children. They were helped with volunteers from Barclays and have created a lasting educational resource for the pupils.
My name's Diane and I work for Barclays Bank, and we're here to get involved in our Make a Difference Day. Ours is the Red House School project, which we are helping with in the garden. Hopefully it's going to impact the children and obviously the residents who live around this area, who send the children to this school, in a positive way. Get the children involved, tidying the garden up, planting fruit trees, doing the big vegetable boxes. We've got a beautiful little pond here. This is to help the children going forward learn more about nature. So hopefully after we finish today, the children are going to absolutely love what we've done here and maintain it. And we've thoroughly enjoyed ourselves today, and hopefully we'll come back again.
As part of their Wildplaces project, children from Biker Primary School helped Newcastle allotment holders to plant a new hedge. So Peter, how did you first hear about the Wildplaces project?
I find, well, Cara Jackson, who was in charge of the Wildplaces, contacted the Newcastle Allotment Working Group to ask if any allotments were interested in her putting a camera up to see what wildlife was on allotments. We've got a resident fox in Moorside, which people are very proud of, but unfortunately we didn't get a camera. We got lots of people wandering about, but no fox. But we're still quite keen to invite Cara to our show to tell us what she's been doing in the rest of the city. I was mentioning to her at the time that we were quite interested in trying to get a hedge round the east boundary for wildlife and also for security. A very long hedge, about 500 yards. It hit the nail on the head with her, so she arranged to get a grant for our hedging.
So it's gone from starting with a camera to practical conservation tasks. And what sort of species are you aiming to encourage into the allotments?
Well, we're particularly hoping to help the small birds on Moorside, because we've noticed over the last 5 years they've been declining markedly. So we're particularly keen on having a fruiting hedge which provided berries for the birds in the winter to oversee them.
And of course it's not just the allotment holders who've been working on this project, is it?
Yes, that's right. We had 3 weekends altogether working on it. First weekend we had volunteers from Northumberland Wildlife Trust and some from the allotment. And then the first week in January we had just allotment holders, about 10 of us. And then finally the third weekend was the planting weekend, and Cara came with all the trees and you came with the children from Biker, and together we planted all these trees. I think there were about 1,000 altogether.
Wow. So really you're not just helping the wildlife, but it seems to be creating links throughout the community.
Yes, that's right, and the allotmenteers are very proud of it.
In Middlesbrough, students from Askham Briar College have been working with the Tees Valley Wildlife Trust to create new habitats.
We've done quite a bit of practical conservation work on this site, just on the outskirts of Middlesbrough. Most recently we've planted 200 deciduous trees, native trees, and we did that with the help of a group of students from Askham Briar College, which is just down the road in Gisborough. We're hoping to benefit several species through this type of conservation work, right from the small field voles, bank voles, harvest mice, through to brown hares. We've got a decent population of brown hares locally, and by planting stands of trees we're also providing them with shelter for the daytime. But we also have barn owls as well, and we're hoping by improving the habitat for voles, etc., we will be providing more food in turn for the barn owls. We've managed to film foxes and otters on this site, and using this camera recently we filmed this footage. Otters have been something of a conservation success story. 30 to 40 years ago they were virtually extinct right across the country, but since certain pesticides and chemicals were banned and the cleaning up of the river systems, they really have made a comeback. Myself, the landowner and volunteer, put this sand martin wall in last year. We built it in the hope that we would encourage sand martins to nest on the site. Natural sand martin nesting sites are becoming increasingly rare. They require a vertical wall or bank, sand bank, in which they can actually dig and tunnels themselves in which to nest. I mentioned earlier we've got barn owls on this site, and we've also put a couple of barn owl nest boxes up with cameras inside them, and we've captured a bit of footage including this.
Terrific footage there, and let's hope the sand martins enjoy their new home. At Tanfield School in County Durham, the students have made their own wildlife documentary film. They used footage from the Wildplaces cameras.
I think the project fitted in really well with the national curriculum. For instance, it was able to cover many cross-curricular areas, for instance, maths, English, science and geography and ICT. The students were able to use many of those different skills to produce their final presentation.
Well, first of all, we had to select which animals we wanted to do the video about, and then we researched those animals and wrote scripts of what we were going to say about them.
Then we edited it, used videos from the Wildlife Trust, and scripts were made ourselves.
Yeah, I think one of the benefits for the students is being able to work with other people from outside that have expertise and experience in these areas. And not only that, they're able to bring in their resources and field data that the students can use, and that makes it a lot more real and a lot more powerful to their learning.
Well, the animals we looked at were the badger, the fox, the roe deer and the red squirrel. We learnt that the fox is the most widespread canine, where it used to be the wolf.
The grey squirrel's got the virus that can kill the red squirrel. I think it's quite nice that we can protect it.
I think they really enjoyed the project, and part of that was because it seemed to inspire them to go on and become involved in something we've already got running in school, which is a science and engineering club. And as part of that, they created an outdoor classroom. The reason for the outdoor classroom was to look at local flora and fauna and get the whole school community, which includes parents of course, involved in that project. And I also think it's important that students are able to pursue careers in this kind of field, particularly environmental sciences for instance, and perhaps go on and study conservation.
Yeah, we're all happy with the results, but with a bit more editing and a bit more like technical knowledge on the software, we may be able to like create a bit better video. But with the time we had and what we had to do it we produced great results.
Finally, the Wildplaces photography competition drew over 400 entries from local people. The top 12 was selected for this year's Wildplaces calendar. The winning pictures have also been showcased around the North East at various museums. Great shots and a really tough job for the judges there, and I should know, I was one. So now the 2-year Wildplaces journey is at an end, but it's left a lasting legacy for people and for wildlife.